Today we are getting excited to eat chicken tacos with something I like to call Curtido, which is an Salvadorian marinated slaw. Let's talk about the ingredients we've got today. This is, I have a half head of cabbage, cilantro, jalapenos. I have thinly sliced these because we kind of want everything to be the same amount of thickness. I have half of a red onion, 2 carrots, but I may only use 1. And then for my marinating ingredients, I've got some sweetened lime juice. You can sweeten with honey or agave, either or, and apple cider vinegar. First, to start my slaw, I'm going to take my cabbage head, and I'm gonna start with half. And this is the kind of recipe where you're not really exactly sure on the kind of measurements. Because, you know, everybody's cabbage heads could be a different size, and some people would like more carrots to cabbage ratio. And I'm gonna take one of my favorite tools from the kitchen, this big mandolin, and I prefer to cut the cabbage with a mandolin. You can do it by hand, but if you do the mandolin, it's all uniform thickness. And you want it to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. So about like that's good. Because you want it to still have body. You want the slaw to have body after it's been in the refrigerator for a couple of days. And the marinade will kind of soften it over time. So if you use nice, like kind of bigger slices, it'll be crunchier still. I'm just gonna take my finger guard. You really want to be careful with your fingers when using the mandolin because it's really easy to cut yourself. So now that I've got my cabbage all shredded up, I am going to take some salt. I'm using pink Himalayan coarse sea salt. You can use kosher salt. You want to do anything but iodized. No iodized salt when pickling. So I'm just going to go ahead and salt my cabbage up and just let it sit over there while I prepare the rest of my ingredients to release the moisture. And this is one of those things where you are literally tasting it throughout the entire process because you don't want to like over salt it. So, just like that. And I'm going to toss this up with my hands a little bit and set it over to the side. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to my carrots. I've got 2 big carrots here and I've peeled them already. And to shred these up, I'm going to use a box grater. Just like that. See, and like this texture that it comes out with is thin, but still is gonna have a nice crunch to it. And also releases a lot of the moisture from the carrots. That's what we're trying to do here, is release natural moistures from the vegetables. If it becomes a little difficult, don't give up. Because this slaw is so delicious, it is worth this hard work. And like I said, it's a fermented slaw, so the longer it stays in the fridge, the better it is, but you can also make it and let it sit for 30 minutes and eat it as well that same day. I am going to do my red onion also on the mandolin. I've got half of a red onion right here. I'm gonna go ahead and put it to the 1 setting. Red onions can tend to be a little bit spicy, so you wanna have them very thin. And also, it's also going to dye the slaw like a little bit pink, so that is fun. Yep, that's perfect. It should be like this. And yes, the textures of this slaw is very important to its final product. Just going to go along with it like that. Very beautiful. And, all right. Look at that. such beautiful colors. That is one thing I love about this, is all of the beautiful colors, especially for summertime. So now that you can see my cabbage has like released a lot of moisture, it's looking very shiny and beautiful. I'm going to take, I'm gonna take all of that and mix it up in there. And then honestly, we can look at this and maybe even say, that needs an extra quarter of cabbage in there, but we'll see. So this is what we're looking like so far. Next, I'm going to go in with my jalapeno peppers. Like I said, they're very finely sliced, very similar to the size of the onion. Everything is very thin in this dish. I'm gonna go in with all of it. Whew. And the cilantro, I'm gonna mix in at the end. All right, so we'll really want to get a feel of what we need more of or less of when everything is mixed up together. It's looking so good. Honestly, I don't think we're gonna need more cabbage. I think our ratios are good. Now I'm going to begin my marination for the slaw. And like I said before, I've just got some fresh squeezed lime juice here, and you can sweeten it with honey, which I have done today, or agave. Either one works. And then I've got some apple cider vinegar. I've got 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, and this is about, I think, 2 limes worth of juice. I'm just gonna go in with half for now. Actually, I'm gonna go in with it all. Looks like I could use all. And 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. Okay, so before we put it into our storage container, we are going to go ahead and taste it. See what else it needs. Very delicious. I think I could use a little more salt. I think I could use a little more apple cider vinegar. I'm using Bragg's. Always shake it up before you use it. Bragg's is the best. My recommendation for apple cider vinegar. Just a little bit more. A little more lime juice as well. I'm gonna go ahead and put avocados on these tacos. So I've got my avocado here, and I'll use this half a lime to make the guac as well. A little more lime juice. I always prefer to use pure raw honey because a lot of the honeys that you can buy in the store can be like this stuff just called rice syrup. So if you can help out a local beekeeper, always get some fresh honey. All right. Let's see. Okay, now that is good. A little spicy. Also, the flavors are going to adapt over time. I seeded my jalapeno pepper that I used earlier, but if you want to, so it's not like too much heat, but if you want to add more heat to this slaw, you can just put in a little bit of sriracha. All right, so I'm going to punch it down, like under, you want it to be submerged in the liquids. So punch it down, and then if you can, just get like a little thing like that to put some weight on it. There you go. And we're gonna let this sit on the counter. Okay, so always like to keep a clean workspace, and let's move on to making our guac. I'll just take the avocado and go down and make like little checkers, and then scoop it on out with a spoon. Don't get that little brown top in. Cutting it up like this before you put it into the bowl will just make it easier to mix together. And if you want, you can keep like some of the chunks in it, because I like kind of like a chunky textured guac. All right, so I'm gonna start up the mashing process with this a little bit with the flat edge of my spoon. The lime, not too much. I just used the bowl from my sweetened lime juice earlier because it already had some lime in it, so I'm not gonna wanna go too crazy with this lime. It's always best to just start with a little bit of salt because you can always add more in, but it's hard to take out. Okay, so I also like to go in with a little black pepper. Freshly ground is the way to go. Okay, so like I said, I like to keep a little bit of a chunky texture so you can kind of see like I got a little bit of chunks in there. But it's still very creamy. So let's taste. A little more salt and a little more pepper. Just a little bit though. And I'm gonna put that in the fridge. So I've got our chicken breast here, which I've just seasoned with salt and pepper on both sides. And I'm gonna go ahead and cook it in a cast iron skillet so it can get a crispy outside and a moist inside. You can also cook it on the grill or however you like, but I recommend cast iron or the grill. All right, so when I do chicken breast on the stove top, I like to sear hard on both sides and then finish it in the oven, and that covered, and that helps it retain moisture. So before I start my stove, I'm going to go ahead and put my oven on 350 degrees, which will be about good. Check my racks, okay. And I'm gonna get 2 pans going here. I've got my trusty cast iron skillet, and I'm going to keep a small pan in the back for my tortillas. Today I'm going to be using corn tortillas, and to prevent from them falling apart when you're eating them, which is something that often happens, I put 2 together and brown them on both sides a little bit. I'm just going to start with a little bit of oil and put it on like medium high. Like I said, we want to get a hard, crispy sear on the outside, and we're going to finish it in the oven so we don't have to worry if it's cooked all the way through. Now that my pan is nice and hot, I'm gonna go in with my chicken breast. Ooh. Okay, we're just looking for a very hard sear on the one side. We're gonna flip it really quick, cover it, and then finish it in the oven. That's funny. So, you'll know when your tortilla is ready to flip when it looks like about that on the side, a little golden brown. And like I said, putting 2 tortillas together and then browning them on both sides is really going to prevent the taco shell falling apart when you're eating it. Okay, and we'll sear it a little bit on this side and then cut the heat and cover it because it'll sear the rest of the way in the oven. Ooh, ooh. All right. It is pretty hot. Get an oven mitt for that. Okay, so I put it in the oven for about 5 minutes, but it really just depends how raw the breast was when you put it in. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out, check on it. It's sizzling so nicely. Wow, that is beautiful. Okay. I'm gonna carry this over to my cutting board and we're gonna cut it up. I'm ready to cut my chicken breast. It's rested for a few seconds so that I don't immediately release all the juices upon cutting. And when I do this, I just like to cut it on a bias like that. Really thin slices. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. Right. And I'm gonna cut enough for about 2 tacos, because that's what I got going on today. All right, now it's time to plate up. So I'm gonna take my 2 taco shells, and I like to put the guac down first. And then our chicken breast. All right, and now my favorite part. Oh, so beautiful. You don't want to overload it too much. There we go. And just a little bit of cilantro to finish. All right, everybody, that is chicken tacos with Curtido. And let's take a bite. Oh, I've been anxious to eat this. It's one of my favorite dishes to make. Let's see how they turned out. So good. All right, everybody, thank you so much for getting excited to eat with me today. Let me know what you think about this recipe or recipes you would like to see in the future. And if you like what you see, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much.